Hey, what's up, guys? This is your host, Hunter Moore, on the Talkin' Shop, the Ohio Distance Running Podcast. I'm joined alongside with Nathan Moore to my left here and Noah Graham. They're both my teammates here at Walsh University. And, the reason for this podcast, it's kind of because, we like to talk shop. On all our runs, we really talk about Ohio running as a whole just because we're just so rooted in our state. And we love to talk about the past of Ohio, the present, the future. So we thought it'd be a good idea to kind of share our thoughts with you guys because I feel like we put up some very, very valid points and give some really good takes. So we'll be talking about collegiate runners from Ohio, college Ohio teams, and, of course, high school Ohio. And, we're talking about power rankings, meet recaps, a whole lot of stuff. So this is just the first episode of hopefully many, and I think we're ready to jump in. Does that sound good to you guys?
Let's do it.
Let's talk some shop.
Talk some shop, as they say.
Let's go meet recaps first for the college athletes. And first we got the Lehigh Paul Short Run. Our team ran that, Walsh, as well as Dayton, JCU, for several of the other Ohio teams. I think the big thing that jumped out to a lot of people from this meet would be the Krebs-Phillips battle. That was absurd,
Absolutely.
wasn't it? You guys experienced it firsthand. You were there. I was obviously at home because I could not travel, so just sitting like a bum at home while those guys were running their tails off. So that kind of stung for me, but I'm sure it was pretty sweet being in that kind of race with that many people. It was probably a pretty crazy feeling. What did you guys say about that?
Yeah, what a day, what a course. It was nuts. Already gotten a lot of hate from people. And
some on this team, maybe?
Yeah, even guys on our team. It's ironic because the name of the meet is the Paul Short Run or Invitational, whatever you call it.
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of funny. But, it was a really fast day out there, and it was just ideal. I believe the course record going into the meet before it happened was about 23:45, and the winner was Parker Wolf from North Carolina, who went 23:02. So, it was just a perfect day, and Parker Wolf and those North Carolina guys set the course record, I believe, last year. So, yeah. They've been there before. Yeah. I don't think they did anything quite different. That was magic. The course was just really quick, and I think this is going to be some of the fastest times that people ran on that course. It could vary from person to person, but it was definitely a really quick day. But it was awesome It was awesome to see the battle between Zach and Phillips up front. Unfortunately, I was not able to join him at the top because I'm not Crafton Phillips, but it was really cool to see.
Keyword yet.
It was really cool to see their battle just throughout the race and the dynamic after. I remember going through like the mile or 2 mile and looking up ahead, and I could distinctly see Alex Phillips, one, because he's so tall, and then I could see Zach Kraft, two, because he was wearing a maroon jersey in a sea of Providence, North Carolina runners. And some guys from some Villanovas who are all wearing like white and light blue colors.
Kind of more your plain jerseys. The new maroon jerseys we got last year. They pop out, don't they? It
was kind of sick. Yeah. And then I didn't get to see the finish, but I heard it was a really good sprint finish between those two guys, and they really represented Ohio
very well.
In the D2 and D3 divisions for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
pretty cool stuff.
The first two D3 and the top D2 guy in the race. And without looking back on kind of last year's teams and what the weather would have been like, you throw a bunch of guys in a fast race.
You're bound
fast
to,
things
you're bound to have something cool happen.
There's some rolling hills throughout the course. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it's a slow course, but it's really hard to say it's a fast course, especially when you look at some of these other courses. Like everyone talks about the Notre Dame course, which we'll get into shortly here. Absolutely. But everyone talks about that course kind of being a pancake, and that was a 5-miler. But those times kind of compare right with what we were running.
Yeah, they do.
No one's calling that fast.
Yeah.
But Phillips obviously a D3 national champ several times now.
Yeah. It's one of the best to ever do it in Division III.
Right, and you bring him back another year. He's of course going to be more fit than he was last year, and I think I thought the times were pretty appropriate for what they ran. They definitely surprised some people, but that's how the sport goes, and it's progressing so fast. Especially on the men's side, it's just deeper than it's ever been before. And it pushes you to go so fast. So
absolutely, and it's crazy the way these guys are able to finish. We calculated Parker Wolf's last 1,600 of that meet to be around like 4:19, which is awesome.
Yeah, I heard some of their coaches saying that. Some of the coaches from North Carolina, I overheard them saying like, yeah, Parker and Patrick closed in like under 4:20.
Yeah,
and from the videos I saw, it looked like they were hauling at the end there.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I know Zach's closed in sub 4:30, which is also really impressive on a course. So that's really cool. I think Also, I wanted to mention, big shout out to you, Nathan, sub 24 man. You know, it's kind of, I mean, it's not as like prevalent as a sub 15 high school, but sub 24 is still a pretty darn big deal for the college level, and it's a really good feat. It's only, you know, just a start. If you're young in your running career and you're already at this level, it's really good. Bodes well, I feel like.
It's a good step, and I mean, I need to keep capitalizing on that, but. Oh, yeah,
no.
Sorry. Had to get closer.
No, you're good. The one last thing I want to talk about this meet is comparing this year to last year. I don't know what drove it, but looking at stats, only 31 – not only, sorry, that's a lot of guys. 31 guys did break 24 last year. You were 93rd. You were the last guy to break 24 in that race.
Yeah.
3 times more people broke 24. And I don't know if that's just the weather mixed with the competition, but something was in the air that day, surely.
Yeah, dude, it was a lot more competitive than last year. We were looking at it last year going into the meet, and we were like, okay – we put ourselves in that field last year. I think JCU was like 9th or 10th or something like that. And we're like, okay. I mean, we should probably hope to shoot for something comparable. And we had an all right day, and our team took 22nd. So I think what drove it is just the vast amount of quality teams that came up.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these teams.
They're going to be D1 national qualifiers, you know, team-wise. They're going to be up there.
There's, I think, 3 or 4 ranked teams in there in the Division I top 30. And some really good Division II teams leading the way. Was Wingate.
Wingate really
I believe
ran
is
well.
ranked nationally number 4 or 5 right now.
Yeah, that really boosted their ranking from that meet.
That was huge. So big takeaways from the meet: Zach Kraft, Alex Phillips, legit as we know.
Of course,
and some pretty decent depth was showcased on both of the Ohio teams.
Yeah,
and Dayton had a pretty good day.
Yeah,
it was all right for them.
Yeah, it was a good fit. Let's go to the next fast course of the weekend. Live at the Lou. A lot of other Ohio schools also racing there. You know, Findlay was there, Miami, Ohio, Cincinnati, and Kent State, and it was really impressive. I thought Ohio actually showed out super well there. You know, they didn't get the win maybe. The Ohio teams or individuals, but they were right there. You know, Chata was in there. You know, he's one of the best Division II runners returning. He got second last year, and I thought it was a really good meet for Ohio. So Miami ended up taking third team-wise, if I remember correctly. And I'm almost positive they did. And then UC took fourth, which was super impressive as well. You know, it was a really fast race as well. Not as many people sub-24 as Lehigh, but still a good bit, with a lot of those guys being Ohio guys. Milo Greeter, Tyler Worth, 23-21, 23-26. Obes Afeta, 23-35 or 36, and then Beatty Baugh, 23-40s. Yeah, that's impressive. That's all Ohio guys.
I think Kent State really surprised a lot of people. UC, I mean, historically pretty good. They had some good returners from last year. Same with Miami. Finley's obviously had several guys show up between last year, and then their top few running pretty good this year. But I thought Kent State was really kind of the surprise of this weekend. They're fast, and it's good for a school that's kind of dogged on in the majority of their sports, at least as far as I know. Unfortunately,
I mean, you guys know better than me. You guys live right by it, so you probably heard it throughout your years.
Classic Kent State.
Can't read.
Can't read.
Kent State. Something in that nature, yes, sir. But you know, it was really cool. They got good guys. Beatty Baugh is a good one.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah, Beatty Baugh is an impressive one, and Joe Farley, their twos, also ran really well that day. So that was really cool to see. Miami showed out. UC showed out. It was great. We'll talk about Findlay for a second. You know, we knew coming in there, they had depth issues for sure. You know, they have a really, really strong 1-2-3 punch. We saw that at Ohio. Noah Fisher's coming back for his junior year, and he's been as good as advertised or better. And also they had DeHaven finally getting a race after redshirting last cross, and Jordan Foster making a huge splash from indoor. He really improved a lot from last year. This race, though, I don't know if it really went the way they wanted to. What would you kind of say about that, Nate?
I would say Noah Fisher ran. He had a very good day. I would say for him, I mean, this is not dogging on, but it was an average to slightly average day. I mean, nothing like out of the water, but it was definitely a really solid day, and of course, something to be very proud of.
Yeah.
But for DeHaven and Jordan Foster, they had okay days, maybe a slightly. They probably left a little bit on the table more than they wanted to. I know. At All Ohio, Nick DeHaven took the lead, I believe, during the race. And so, I mean, judging from that race strategy, I bet you that he was out there and hoping for a little bit more. I think that they have more to bring to the table. And it wasn't their best race, but, I mean, those guys were legit when we raced them at All Ohio. It will be interesting to see because I believe we actually race them this upcoming week at Lock Haven. So,
yeah, No, yeah, we will, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like Foster, after running 24:30 mid, and I think he beat you by a second or so. At Ohio. He struggled at Louisville. He knows it. He went 25 flat. He's not going to want to do that, but I know for sure he'll bounce back. He's been really solid and really consistent the last year. So Louisville was great.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they can put together a 4 and 5 come conference.
Yeah, because that hurt them. It did. They got 25th out of 31 because of that.
And especially in bigger meets like this, when you have guys farther back, I mean,
right.
it just gets multiplied by your team score, and it will help in smaller meets like a GMAC meet.
Absolutely.
So hopefully they get their guys on the table. And I mean, if I had to guess, they're shooting for their top 3 to be individual qualifiers at the regional meet, so that will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, there's a lot of weeks until then, so still a lot to cover.
Yep, and let's quickly take a look at, we'll switch gears to Division III. They had their national preview that weekend. Wilmington, Otterbein, Mount Union were there, and, Otterbein did not do what they came in wanting to do for sure. I obviously used to run there, so I know, I know the culture there. It's really, really strong work ethic, and they brought in a team this year that's going to be really good, and they're ranked pretty high in Division III at one point, I think, cracking top 10. So they ended up getting 7th in this race, and, Wilmington was right behind them, and we know they have a lot. Speaking of Finley having depth issues, Wilmington has a huge depth issue as well. They have 3 studs, and they drop off after that. So they almost beat Otterbein. So I know Otterbein probably a little discouraged, but, I know they'll bounce back. They have a bunch of hard workers on their team. Simon Hayes, decent, right? I mean, I feel like 5th place individual. Some good guys in there. I don't know who these guys are off the top of my head. They must be newer Division III guys, but I think Simon's one of the best guys in Division III, so I would have expected him maybe to win this race or come close to it, and he was 23 seconds off. So
yeah, shout out Noah Tobin, man, though,
Absolutely,
from Wilmington.
Yeah,
that kid's been on fire this year. He's been racing really well for them. I mean, he's
put
pretty
Wilmington
much
on the map for sure.
Yeah.
It's been sweet. Yeah,
a couple of those guys have just come out the woodworks. I think they're all just building a program.
Yeah. I think Simon's really implemented this, this thought process of, let's put our team on the map. Like, let's get it done.
Just a couple of local boys.
Yeah, just the local town. Like, I like that a lot. Obviously, I went to Otterbein. That was my hometown school. So this pride's really cool. It really is. So they're looking good. It's good to see. Let's do our last meet recap of the week. That weekend that Ohio teams ran at. That was Joe Piani, and we had one team run that, and they were in, which is interesting enough, they're in the gold race, but the gold race is actually not the fast race at Joe Piani, which is interesting. You would think the gold race would be top ones, but besides the point, Youngstown State easily won their race, which was, it's awesome. They destroyed the second team. 60 to 113 was their team score.
I want to say that this is probably the best. This is the best Youngstown State performance we've maybe seen in the past 2 years, team-wise. Yeah. I mean, their top 2 guys in this race was it was Chase and Hunter, and they were really low. Chase probably had a little bit better race than Hunter, I would say, but I mean after that, their 3 coming in after that were just like phenomenal. I believe it was T. Clark, and then some other guys. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they were a little beat up last year. I know Easterling wasn't quite where he wanted to be, but they beat IUPUI, who took the conference title from him last year, and I think they just crushed him this week.
Yeah. I mean,
Chase is
look at that team score.
Clearly back in full form, but beat him by 63 points. I mean, that's a great win.
It's a beatdown, So it was good. And their 4-5 was Meadows and Barnett. So great job to those guys.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. So good stuff out of those guys. Let's do a quick little top 10 power ranking of Ohio collegiate runners currently, and we'll get some interesting takes on this, and we'll kind of show you guys what our thoughts on this was. So coming in at 10th on the power ranking, we got Dennis Mute of Toledo, and he got on here because of his John McNichols performance. That's the NXR course for those of you wondering, the 8K version of it, of course.
Terre Haute, that would be.
Terre Haute, is that what you pronounce it, Nathan?
It's pronounced Terre Haute, but
Nathan learned that last week, and he's raced it a lot of times.
I've raced there twice. I think I know.
Okay. Paradise, baby. But, Dennis Mute got the win at John McNichols in 24:17. And even though that might not be a top 10 fastest time this year in Ohio, that was one of the more impressive times because that's not an easy course. We all know it.
No, that's very difficult.
I mean, it's rolling hill. They throw you down the hill, and then you got to fight your way back up for the rest of the race.
And I think a reason why he could be limited at the 10 spot right now is just because he hasn't had many head-to-head competitions with people in Ohio. So right now he's just back there. But, I mean, if they get competing with some more guys, maybe even some guys later on this list, that'll be pretty solid.
Yep. Next we got the guy sitting to my left here, Nathan Moore, 9th place. Lehigh sub 24. We already talked about it, but you're on here with that performance, and your PR is a little faster than some of the other guys. But we'll talk about maybe why, at least right now, they might be ranked ahead of you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Hunter.
Of course. Next is Simon Hayes. He gets on here because it's all high performance. He got third with 24-23, beat some big names, beat Nathan, and he looked really good there. So he's on here, and he's broken 24 in the past. He went sub 24 at the national meet last year, getting him top 10, and he's been really good this year. Obviously, maybe not as good as he'd liked at the Deep 3 preview meet, but I really fully expect him to be
impressive
time.
all Ohio performance. So he's coming off that too.
So he's got the head-to-head on you.
Yeah, and I think he's training pretty hard right now, if I believe, according to his Strava.
Yep.
Over 100-mile week. So, I mean,
he puts in the work, man.
You gotta respect that.
Next, we got Noah Fisher, 24 flat at All Ohio. Again, he's got the head-to-head with you, Nate, unfortunately. But he has a great Louisville race, and his All Ohio race was great, too. He got second in 24-19. So he's been off to a great start for sure. Next, we'll do all these next guys either ran at Louisville or Lehigh, and I actually have the lactic rating. I don't know if you guys remember what that is, but it takes your AK time on that particular course and spits you out a 5K on the track time, what it thinks you'll run for that. I don't know how fully accurate it is, but it's a good indicator of what it thinks, at least like the speed rating kind of thing of the courses. You can compare it to other guys.
It tries to objectify different performances on different courses.
Exactly.
It tries to just merge it into one list. So
which I don't know how accurate that is, but it's pretty interesting stuff.
It's always entertaining to look at least, and fun to look at.
Exactly. So we'll do I have Louisville guys for 6, 5, 4, and 3 from that meet. That's Beatty Ball, 10th, 23-41. 5th, Opus Feta, Miami, 23-36. Tyler Worth, Cincinnati, 23-26. Milo Greeter, 23-21.7. And Milo Greeter got 3rd, Worth 4th, Feta 8th, Baugh 10th. So those 4 right there ran at that Louisville meet, and that coincided with a lactic score of 13:51 for Greeter, 13:53 for Worth, 13:59 for Feta, and 14:02 for Baugh. The next two I guess before I want to say the next two, I do want to give an honorable mention, of course, to the YSU boys. Shout out to those guys. Hunter Christopher from the Battle of Beantowns, 24-12. Chase Easterling's 24-17 on a 5-mile course. So that's about roughly 10 seconds taking off for an 8K. So give them like a 24:07. Those are really impressive, and they're right there on the rankings, but just unfortunately missed it this time. But our first top 2 guys obviously are going to be Zach Kreff second, and no surprise, Alex Phillips first. They got 7th and 8th respectively at a really stacked meet, 23-14-9, 23-14-7, and that compares really similarly to the top guys from the Louisville meet. Their lactic times are 13:52 for both of those. So technically, it says Greeter might have a faster time, but I'm getting it with a grain of salt. I feel like Phillip and Kraft really just perform so well. I can't take it away from them. So yeah, that's our power ranking. And then the last few things I want to touch up with the college before we get to our high school specialist here, Noah Graham. We want to give some shout-outs to guys who ran for Ohio high schools but run for a school out of state. So this is a quick shout-out to those guys. Arjun Jal, U of M, he's been killing it this year. He's won his first 2 meets. He got 22nd at Joe Piani with 23:51. Chad Johnson got 6th at the Gans Creek Classic a couple weeks ago, 23:45. They got the team win, and he only lost to 2 people who weren't his teammates. Vinny Mari, he's been absolutely unbelievable this year. He is undefeated right now and won the Dave Murray invite in 23:20. And then he won his first meet at 23:25. So he's been great. Next are the Oregon teammates, Elliot Cook and Caleb Brown. They both went 24:09, 24:10 respectively. And they were 6th and 7th on Oregon's team. So, I mean, to be on varsity with Oregon, that's pretty much speaks for itself. So that was at Bill Dellinger. And the last guy, he hasn't raced yet, but, man, he was so dominant last year. Definitely want to give a shout-out to this guy. Will Zagarski, man. He hasn't – obviously, unfortunately, he's been hurt for a lot of the year, as you guys know. But, man, before he was hurt, he was killing it. He has the 5K record on the state meet course, 14:39 at Fortress Obats last year with a win, obviously. He's been awesome. He's running at Bowler right now. Unfortunately, did get hurt, so he's been kind of getting back into it. I think he's redshirting this year, right, guys?
Yeah, I would sure think so. He was injured pretty late into the summer.
But, yes, so we want to give him a shout-out workout right here. I have his Strava up. This is from September 30th. He went. I don't know the rest on this, but, I mean, it doesn't even matter. This workout's so impressive. 3 miles at 15:02. It's a 5-flat pace. 2 miles, 9:52, and then just 1 mile, 4:32. I mean, for being hurt, like not too long ago, it's pretty great stuff. It looks like he's on the right track.
I believe he had a 6-mile workout too, or something of that sort, where he went through 8K in about 40, 45.
So yeah,
so I mean,
he's
already making up ground quick.
He's
and
going to be
Butler
fine.
has a good one in Williams-Zagarski.
Absolutely,
that's for sure.
They do. They really do. So that's our college portion. Let's get to our high school part. And Noah Graham, want to kick it off with Stark County. What did you see there? I know we were all three at this meet, so we got the personal experience. But what was your kind of thoughts and takeaways from it?
Absolutely. I mean, Stark County, I think it's at this point, it's nearly undoubtedly the deepest county in Ohio. Year in, year out, you're seeing multiple either state champs, all Ohioans into the double digits. Last year, they won 2 of the 3 boys' state titles. The girls won from Minerva, won the Division II state title. So you're seeing pretty deep things. Every year, and that's not a doubt. More specifically, and we'll kind of see these names pop back up again in our individual and then our team power rankings. But, I mean, Tommy Rice from Glen Oak ran great, 15:06 on a course that's really not that fast. Average, maybe a hair above average, but definitely slower than the state meet course. You're talking about if you can repeat a 15:06 effort now in the first week of October, what can you do? Or I'm sorry, that would have been the last week of September. But you're talking about repeating that in a little over a month. There's definitely good things to come. Colin Cernansky, second, 15:30. Again, kind of got out in no man's land. PR's a 15:17 this year. But more importantly, him being part of the Marlington team took down Jackson, who's ranked number 2 right now on the OATCC poll state rankings. So I think won by 16 points, I believe. And in a meet like that, 16 points is a pretty big margin. When you're talking about, all right, Jackson has to make up 16 spots somewhere, it's hard to kind of figure out where those points go. So I think more importantly, Rice is kind of the real deal, and Marlington solidified themselves as one of the top teams in the state.
Sure.
I have a question for you. So we're both graduated Stark County athletes, and for all the Stark County people, this will be very entertaining.
No bias, right?
Do you think this is from your recent memory? So we'll go back to 2010. Do you think this is the most competitive Stark County has ever been in its history?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think it's close. I mean, you look in the last few years. I mean, you alone, you're going to weigh that average a bit in one direction, and I'd have to look back to really kind of sharpen my memory on some of these things.
That's a little far.
But I think when you look at last year alone, 3-team state champs. I don't know I don't remember off the top of my head how many all Ohioans there were, about 15 maybe. Year before that, quite right about the same. I mean, that is deep in one county.
Pretty crazy. I was about to call it the bias on that, but you really backed it up there with the stats. I was going to say the Delaware County boys might have something to say about that, but 15 all Ohio.
I'm not saying that Stark County is by far the best, but when you're just talking about depth on a year-to-year basis, obviously that Delaware County and some of those Columbus, maybe a Cincinnati area, they're going to pull out some really good deep guys. The Saint kind of those that St. X Mason area. There's some really good schools. Mason St. X obviously go 1-2 in the top 5 or so at the state meet every year team-wise, but just from pure depth.
Absolutely.
So before we get talking too much about that, I'll get into our power rankings a little bit.
Sure.
I'll hit the boys individuals a little bit. I know Nathan and Hunter can comment a little bit about this on the way, but this will lead me right into kind of our team rankings. At 4, 5, and 5, I really struggled, and I even got a 6th on there / with 2 guys at my 5 because I just went back and forth a lot. None of these guys have raced each other this year. It's hard to compare everybody, but at 5 and tie with 5, I got Colin Cernansky, returning state champ in the 1600 in track, ran 4:14. Really got some crazy momentum going at the end of track season. Ran 4:14. Already ran 15:17 this year. He's lost this year only to someone who's a little bit higher up in our list, who we'll see come up. So I think that's a really good loss. But next to him, I got Jack Agnew. He ran 15, I believe 14 a week and a half ago at Saturday Night Lights. Obviously a quick course, but everyone's PRs are at quick courses now. But returning state champ. Track season didn't end quite the way I'm sure he wanted it to, but he did run 9:10. Already got his momentum back going this year. I think those two could really be close come November. Maybe not. Maybe I'm a little bit wrong with my bias coming out of Marlington, but I think those two are going to be close, and it could be down to the wire. But then right in at 4 as well is Isaac Schlattler from Mason. Sorry if I butchered the last name. Not too sure how to say it, but he's ran 15:11 this year down in Kentucky, I believe. I know there's a lot of things saying that's a fast course, quick course, whether it's not a full 5K is really not. I'm not sure. I haven't had a wheel down in Kentucky yet.
Yeah.
But he leads one of the best teams in Ohio, if not the best team. He's their first runner, put together solid performances week after week. So I got him at 4, Collins Fernancy, Jack Agnew tied at 5. Either you guys got anything you want to throw in there before we move on to the top 3?
Yeah, I do. I have my 3, 4, 5 all from the Berlin Den Dash. So I have Sam Raschuti. Yes, thank you for saving me. And then I have Liam. Can you pronounce that one?
Shaughnessy,
thank you. And then Ben Gableman rounding out 5. I mean, I don't remember this Berlin Den Dash.
It's a brand new. It's a brand new. This is the first year, and if you want to read the description on it, you'll see why it was so quick. I mean, not saying I have no idea the distance on it. It probably was 5K, but it says in the course description on mile split, it goes, the Berlin course is a very spectacular-friendly 5K course. It's flat, fast, and all-grass course around the perimeter of Berlin High School. And, I believe that because it's not that far from my house. I've done long runs around this school, and it's a pancake out there. So you're going to get – it's essentially a grass on track. So, I mean, it does make sense why these guys – I mean, these are big names, too, that ran that fast. Sam Raschudi's been insane since freshman year. Liam Shaughnessy has also been really good for a long time. So, I mean, I wouldn't have anything to say this is a short course necessarily, rather than just a very competitive and fast course combination.
Everyone out there has something to their name. I mean, I believe Sam has ran 9:10 in the 32.
He ran 9:08 at state.
9:08.
He beat my boy Sakath. Yeah.
I believe Liam has ran around
4:14, 4:15, dipped under 9:20 as well. Ran 15:20s mid last year at the cross country state meet. Those are good names for sure. Gableman ran 4:12, I believe, in the 16
he did run 4:12
as a sophomore. Obviously, those are huge times. We'll see how things play out. And to clarify a little bit, these are current rankings for the men.
Right.
We'll obviously change things up a little week after week or every other week or so as the new podcast comes out.
So this isn't when you think they're going to place a statement. This is what currently, good they are.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
At 3rd, I have Sam Raschuti. Obviously, Nathan touched on him from Dublin. Jerome ran 9:08, got 3rd in the outdoor outdoor track. He's got really good momentum. I think he used to play soccer. I've heard rumors that he dropped that this year and kind of just honed in on his best sport, which I think is definitely paying off for him.
It's cool to see.
Ran 15:05 for the win last week at that meet Hunter was talking about. Pretty easy 3 for me. Nathan obviously had him at 3 as well. Coming in at 2, and this is Collins' only loss, who was mentioned at number 5. I got Tommy Rice. Obviously ran that 15:06. Coming off the 3200 state champ. This was a no-brainer for me. He's lost 1 time this year. Heard rumors just because he was sick. This was an easy one for me. Best returner coming off outdoor season.
Sure.
I'll finish up with my one real quick before me and Nathan got to debate a little bit.
Heated debate.
But at 1, I got Connor Ackley. This one was kind of the no-brainer for me. He went 14:45 last weekend in Tennessee. He has he's the top returner in the 16, the 32, and the 5K from the 2021-22 season. Broke 15 last year at the state meet, ran 9:03 for a full 2 mile at New Balance and track, and the state runner-up as well with 4:10 in the mile. I know Nathan, I believe, has got Tommy at 1 and Ackley at 2, but we'll hear what he has to say for a little bit.
I want to say one quick thing about Ackley before we jump into kind of the debate. What's really impressive about him? They both have impressive things in their name, but Connor Ackley's 75% right now with sub-15 meets this year. He's broken 15 3 out of the 4 races, which I feel like that's really hard to do. But Nathan, I'm sure you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Please take the mic.
But that stat, that kind of reminds me of a Dustin Horder stat, honestly.
Is that what the ESPN stats are called now, Dustin Horder stat?
I might. I mean, that dude was like sub-15 on every course his senior year.
Yeah, he was so dominant.
For those of you
but what did he end up doing that year at the state meet, though?
Right.
Oh, wait a minute.
He won. He did.
Okay.
And I'd like to say Tommy Rice, I believe you already mentioned it, but I'm going to mention again that Tommy Rice is the first kid in 11 years to win the 3200 on the Division I level and not be a senior. So, I mean, obviously that speaks to talent right there.
It's crazy.
And his track times may not be as quick as Connor Ackley's, but I think just that one performance from Stark County, that 15:06. I mean, this is a little personal. I mean, these are personal rankings because they're coming from us.
Yes.
They are subjective, of course, but I mean, I think a 15:06 on that course is really legit. I mean, I've ran it several times. I'm going to say that I ran 15:12 on it my senior year, and the course was admittedly a little bit short that year. So it got a little bit longer this year, and he still ran quicker than me. So, I mean, respect is due there, and I mean, I'm not saying that can transfer in a certain way, but in my eyes, through my experience, I think that puts him at that spot where he's going to be able to compete for the state championship and win. Sorry, Noah.
It's not an argument. Nathan wants to make a little bit more of an argument than it is. I have zero bias towards anyone in Columbus. I actually would prefer that Tommy wins, and that is obviously complete bias. But just going off the past, and it wouldn't be the first time that Columbus runs real fast in the middle of the season, shows up, and doesn't quite put it all together. Yeah. Tommy, obviously, being the first guy in 11 years to win the 3,200 is huge, but again, it doesn't mean that much to me because Ackley's PRs are faster.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens at the championship meets.
But one thing I do wish, the matchup between these two, I wish that these two could somehow race in the middle of the season. I don't know if that's slated to happen. I don't believe so. That's one thing that always went down. It's always gone down, especially for me my senior year. I just want to say that I believe Tommy Rice and Connor Ackley is somewhat a reincarnation of Nathan Mountain and I. I mean, similar stats. My senior Nathan Mountain goes run 14:46 or something at Trinity Valkyrie. I'm back on the home ground running 15:12 at Stark County, then to run 14:52 later at the Federal League meet. But I think you have a lot of similar comparison here.
Graham, what's your take on that?
I think it might be a little bit dramatic. They're definitely two incredibly good runners. Leave it at that. We could get hung up on this all day.
You really
we got
could.
Time, we can revisit these at the end. But let me hop into the high school boys teams real quickly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Coming in at 5, Hilliard Davidson. Obviously, we've talked about Connor Ackley. That you're talking more than likely a 1, maybe a 2 stick at the state meet team wise, and
Nathan's
when
point 2.
when you're only talking about 1 or 2 points, I think that low stick's really going to help them. They are ranked 4th in the OATCC rankings right now. I got them at 5. No specific reason. And actually, I wanted to note before I get into this, we made these power rankings last weekend, or before last weekend's worth of races. Lancaster men put together a phenomenal race, brought them to the second fastest
Where was that
average
at?
in Ohio.
Do you know? No.
And it was the Unioto Invitational, which I know to be a pretty legit course, but they got two brothers, Lenoy, coming in at 33 and 36.
Look, you got a third Lenoy down there too.
Mm-hmm. And they got 4 guys under the 16-minute mark.
Is this the Newberry Park of Ohio right here?
16:09. We'll see. I don't know what's coming together.
I'm getting sources that they are triplets actually, that helps the cause. I mean, if they're all really good, I mean that's 3 out of 5 guys on your team, and they are really good. Their PRs are all 15:46 or better.
Absolutely.
Of those 3.
So I think they're definitely worth mentioning. It's easily their best performance this season. We'll kind of see how that plays out through the rest of the year. I don't know much about the Unioto invite, but again, let's not get stuck too long on everyone else. At 4th, I got Maslin Jackson. 2nd to Marlington at last week's Stark County invite. I got a real tight top group of guys. Spread is pretty short. I like them at 4. They don't quite have the low stick that I'd be hoping for come the big regional and state meets, so we'll see how that plays out a little bit more. Maybe they'll drop down a little bit. They are ranked 2nd in the OATCC power rankings right now, but coming in at 3, I got St. Xavier, historically very good school, runs good during the year, peaks right, not a whole lot.
They do it all right. I mean, they've done it for years, back in my day, obviously, I'm a little older than you guys. They always done the same thing. They peak at the right time, so I'm sure they'll be up there. So that's a good ranking for them for sure.
Right, they're 3rd in the mile split rankings. The OATCC also has them at 3rd, so we'll see how it plays out, but I expect them to be consistent top 3 team at the state meet pretty easily. They have pretty good depth as well. So coming in at 2, hurts me to say they're not 1. I got Marlington. I don't see who's too close to them right now. Again, it's hard to compare what all these cross guys are running until you're even looking on the same day, and even that can be hard if they're not in the same race. But I got Marlington at 2, defending state champs. They're deep. They had the deepest deepest mile spread in the track out of the top 5. They were second in Ohio in the 32, just behind St. X. So the depths there through 6, 7, and 8 aren't quite there. Obviously, one of the top guys in the state, Colin Cernansky, leading the low stick up front. Should be a shoe-in for Division II, but you'll see, barring injuries and sickness, anything like that. Not one, fortunately, I got the boys from Mason. I do want to note as well.
Comic Country. What's rad?
I do want to note Marlington is the only non-Division I team in this. I got about 250 boys or so in the high school. I think most of these other schools are closing.
What's Mason have?
1,300. 1,300 last I checked.
Remember we talked about this? I feel like there should be like some kind of weighted average for class size. I mean, that is really impressive, honestly. The Marlington's able to do this year in, year out. That's not even including you, Like, last year, you had all these guys plus you and your teammate that runs your white shoe now.
Liam.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that would be something that's pretty cool. But I think when you look at Marlington, I think there's few teams that have performed at the state level outside of Division I, kind of like Marlington has last year and as they have done this year. But not to take away from Mason's number 1. Obviously got the low stick that we talked about at my 4 in my power rankings. Isaac Schlattler and Easy One performed real well last week. They ran at Terre Haute, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Also, we got the exact number of the Mason high school class from 2016-27 number of students, 3,500. I mean, I don't know what Marlington's was, but I'm assuming it wasn't that.
500 kids in the school.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see. My numbers must have been off. Maybe I was looking at only half the men's class, but that would put you at 1,750 boys and 1,750 girls.
And that was in 2016. And
they've only gotten bigger, probably.
I mean, one would assume.
Sure.
That area, yeah.
So that's pretty crazy compared to where you look at where Marlington is compared to some of these other guys.
It's impressive stuff.
Let's not get hung up too much. If it works with you guys, we'll move on to high school girls.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
And I will say these high school girls, I got a little bit more of a men's power rankings are a little bit more current. These girls are a little bit more spread out, kind of as we're getting closer to the postseason. What I've seen this year, I'm not quite as well versed in the women as I am the men, but I definitely did my due diligence. I have my sister, so I'm a little bit more informed on the women's side. Before we get into the top 5, I do have Callie Richards from Maplewood. She's the defending state champ 2 times in cross country. I believe she won the mile and was runner-up or so in the 32 and outdoor. Hasn't quite put it all together. I think she just broke 19 for this past weekend for the first time this year. She usually comes on pretty late, so I wouldn't expect to see a late run from her. Also, Bella Graham, my sister, one of the top returners coming in from the 32. I believe she's 5th in the entire state, 2nd in Division II, coming out of track. She's 2nd returner from XC last year. But I think those are 2 people that you should definitely kind of watch out for as we get closer into the season. Now, starting at number 5, I have Megan Hipple from McDonald. Been really putting together a lot of momentum this year. Just ran 17:17 at Trumbull County, which I do know is a legit 5K. I know it runs fast, but it is a legit 5K. Puts her 3rd in Ohio, only to 2 girls that I got higher up on this list. 4, I got Sarah Peer from Westlake. She's ran 17:30 this year, which I believe puts her at number 4. You'll see her team up in my power rankings later. We'll see kind of as the season progresses how she does, but she had a real good track season coming off a nice cross season from last year. I'd expect to see some good things from her. And coming at number 3, I got Jaylee Wingate. Wasn't quite there in cross country last year. Started to pull some momentum together indoors. And then last year's track season, she just kind of went on a tear, ran 2:10, 4:48. And then just brought that momentum right into cross country. I think a lot of people were curious about how her track times would carry over into cross country, but she hasn't slowed down one bit. She hasn't lost this year. Just ran 17:15. I'm sure she's got some pretty big goals come the postseason. I believe they dropped to D3 this year. D3's, unfortunately for her, been more competitive than it's ever been in the past. But she seems, after coming off last weekend, to be peaking just in the right time. At number 2, I got Bella Butler from Oakwood. This was kind of an easy 2 for me. Runner-up last cross-country season, was 4th in the 2-mile. She ran 10:39. 2nd in the mile. No, I said that backwards. 2nd in the 2-mile, 4th in the mile. Got some real good PRs. Already ran about 17:30 this year. A couple other times between that and 17:40. Fastest times in Division II.
So you tell me she came back at 3,200 and placed better than the 1,600 at the state meet?
Yes.
That's so hard to do.
Yes.
What?
That doesn't even make sense.
And I'll also note between Bella Butler and Jaylee Wingate, they both went under the previous state record of 449, and they got third and fourth in the meet. In the meet,
yeah,
they were third and fourth and broke the previous state record. That's unheard of.
High running, man. Getting better.
Coming at number one, I think we all agree on this. I mean, this is pretty undisputed. She's committed to Oregon last week. Ran 17:02 already this year. Basically ran every meet under 17:20. That's Katie Clute. On a tear, she was runner-up in XC last year. Won the state meet in the 32 in track.
Nothing to argue about
easy
there.
one.
Yeah,
easy one.
Easy one for sure.
Anything to say on that before I get into our girls' team rankings?
Katie Clute's the GOAT.
She's crazy. I mean, she's going to be one of the best. She's one of. I have to do a little bit of digging, but she's going to be one of the best Ohio distance runners when it's all said and done.
Sure.
I believe actually that's the second. Her 17:02 is the second fastest time in Ohio girls' history.
Behind you were?
No, girl from Cleveland Beaumont back in the 90s ran 16:59 at the state meet.
How'd you know that?
Boy's done his research.
High school specialist.
That's why he
high
gets
school
paid.
specialist.
But
That's why he gets paid the
one
big
other thing
bucks.
I want to say about Katie Clute is she just posted Mile Split posted an article that she was the author in, and it's about her running story. I gave it a read, and it was really interesting to see her running journey. So
Go check
if
it
you've
out.
not seen that,
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. So
absolutely.
go check it out.
It's awesome.
All right, let me jump into these women's team rankings real quick. At number 5, I got Dublin Jerome. They're 5th in the mile split rankings, 7 in the OATCC rankings. I like them a little bit higher than that. They have arguably the best top 3 in Ohio. Their spread is a little bit minute 35, a little bit deeper than I'd like it to see, and they don't quite have that low stick that I'd like to see them with either. We'll find some deeper spreads, and I think that's a little bit more common amongst the women than the men. But we'll kind of see as the season progresses, for sure. Coming in at number 4, I got Perrysburg. They're 4th in the OATCC rankings, 6th in the mile split rankings. I like them a lot. Spread's a little bit closer. We'll kind of see as the season develops. Again, it's hard to compare with the women. They're the best are a little further spread between, so we don't get to see kind of these real tight races like we did at, say, the Berlin Dash or Saturday Night Lights or something like that. So I'm really interested to see once we get all these girls in the same race come the postseason. Number 3, I got Westlake. We talked about Sarah Peart earlier. I think those low sticks can really help come the postseason. Women, like I said, it's a little bit different. Sometimes they're a little bit more spread out. But I like the low sticks when it gets there. Their spread is a lot, minute 57, but they do have 5 all under 19:30. So I think that could pay its dividends by the time the postseason comes. I also want to talk about Granville. I don't have them on there. They ran real nice last weekend. They have 18:54 average within their top 5. We'll see how it develops, but that's where I got them for now. At 2, I got Hilliard-Davidson, 18:35 average, which is just insane. They're number 1 in the mile split rankings, but they got 3 girls under 18:45, which is crazy. Top 2 girls at 18:09 and 18:16. And with that, they still only have a 52-second spread. So out of everyone other than the number 1 team you're going to hear, that's the fastest average. There's a lot of girls' teams who don't even have anyone under a minute average, or a minute 30, I'm sorry. So I'm interested to see how they do come the postseason, as well as Ackley and the men's side. So at 1, and this brings kind of our podcast getting closer to the end here, I got Mason. Women, they got 18:37 average, so just 2 seconds slower than Hilliard, but only a 43-second spread, which is crazy. Their 5th girls has a 19:01 PR. I'm sorry, 18:52. 18:52. I was looking at the wrong team there. But to have all your girls under 19 and 18:52 and down is just crazy with that tight spread. So we know they're coached well. They've kind of done this year in and year out. Their coaches kind of got this down to a T. So I got Mason coming at number 1. That's all I got for high school.
That's awesome. Let's finish this up with talking about the performance of the week for high school and college. I think kind of no-brainer. College would probably have to be Alex Phillip. The way he dominated that. Obviously didn't win. Dominated the time-wise. you never see that, 23-14. Obviously, Zach was right there, and those two just killed it. But Alex Phillip obviously got the head-to-head win, so he'll be our Performer of the Week.
And we should note this is in Ohio. Keep everything in mind.
Yeah.
They're going to be our Performance of the Week in Ohio.
Ohio, yeah, not nationally, of course. High school, Connor Ackley, right? 15th in the country.
14:45.
Yeah, 15th fastest in the country this year. I mean, he's been unreal, just like he has been since freshman year. So, Ackley for that. And then, did you want to add your Performer of the Week for the girls' side, or did you not?
I had Katie Clute.
Yeah.
It's hard to put anyone other than her in there.
Yeah.
Like we kind of talk about, just committed to Oregon. Been running fast time after fast time. Now these are for the past 2 weeks as well, we should note, kind of wrapping everything up together.
Yeah. Yep.
She didn't race this past weekend before that. She ran 17-17, won Saturday Night Lights.
Really impressive
kind of
stuff.
showed up, won, left, pretty typical stuff.
Yeah,
so
business adventure a little bit, yeah. Good stuff. Last thing we want to do, a little segment here. We just want to do one little fun question before we wrap it up. I'm going to ask you guys your favorite workout and training shoe. No, Graham?
Favorite workout, big mile repeat guy.
Sure.
In high school, I loved 4 to 5 by mile repeats, preferably at some sort of a VO2 effort with some decent rest. Training shoe, gotta love the Nike Vaporfly. Don't use it a ton because it's a pretty special shoe, but I like that a lot. More on a workout-to-workout basis, just sucking the endorphin speed. Nothing too flashy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go next. Favorite workout, definitely progression run. Just love going out there, cranking down miles, spinning really fast. It's just super fun. As far as workout shoes go, definitely the Streak Flies. I've only worn them once, and that was a good workout for me, but they're so light. I've never had a Vaporfly, so I guess that would probably be better, but Streak Fly has been awesome for me. And I also like the endorphin speeds as well.
All right, my favorite workout, if I had to say, it's going to be really close in between a classic mile repeat session, similar to what Noah said, but I really enjoy doing faster work on the track. If it's like a cut-down ladder, say like a Michigan-styled workout or something real where you're just basically running faster than you should be the whole time, and it's just really flashy on the track. My favorite shoes, you can't really beat a Nike Vaporfly, but I've been running in the Saucony Endorphin Pros a ton this year and last year, and it's just so consistent and really durable as well for their performance. So it's
awesome.
Pretty sick.
Well, guys, that wraps it up with us. This is our first episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and tune in for the next one. We'll see you guys.